So the hype around the OnePlus 13s is at an all-time high, but why should you wait for a OnePlus compact flagship when this exists? No, I'm not saying that the Xiaomi 15 is better than the OnePlus 13s. For that, I will have to extensively test the OnePlus 13s out, and I haven't done that yet. Or have I? Anyway, my point is that the Xiaomi 15 is also a compact flagship powerhouse that a lot of people might be forgetting about. Alright, so we've been using this as our daily driver across many team members including Tanish for the last 2 months, and this is our long-term review of the phone. Now, should you consider the Xiaomi 15 or wait for the OnePlus 13s? Maybe you might get an answer for that by the end of this video. Alright, if you're here for the first time, I'm Ershad. This is Trakin Tech English, your destination for detailed, incisive, compact phone reviews. First, let's talk about the fact that this phone is extremely premium, so you get premium materials in the build. You get glass and you get aluminum, all of that, you know it. But it has also held up well in our 2 months with it. Initially, all the boys in the office were actually using it caseless, but they realized that it can get slippery and it did fall, and we had some minor accidents, while using it. Thankfully, all around the frame, there's nothing to show for it, but there's a tiny little microscopic scratched dent on the, camera module, which we'll try to show on B-roll, but I don't think that will also be visible. Anyway, the good thing is that actually Xiaomi bundles this very nice case inside the box. It's got a matte texture. It's a silicone case, of course, but it's got a nice rubbery grip to it. But yeah, if you have oily hands, then that shows on the case itself. But otherwise, it looks very good, and you don't need to buy a third-party case separately. This itself is very good. All things said and done, I really think that its compact size is its biggest advantage. By the way, you get all your staple flagship features like IP68 rating and Xiaomi's very own custom Xiaomi Shield 2.0 glass solution, which Xiaomi says is very, very strong. And even after 2 months, I don't feel any problem doing this. बहुत मस्ती में मैंने कर दिया, टूट गया तो प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा. Nothing. Actually, you know what? I'll show it black only. Nothing. If you like stunts like these, then I keep doing them often on this channel. And if you like the kind of content that we make, your subscription will help us. So go ahead, subscribe. By the way, I forgot to tell you guys, you get a proper USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type-C port. Yeah, no cost cutting there. Apparently, the OnePlus 13s is going to come with USB 2.0. Keep that in mind. Now, the display on the Xiaomi 15 has to be definitely one of its biggest highlights. This tiny 6.36-inch panel is an AMOLED panel with 120Hz refresh rate and LTPO technology, plus it's very pixel dense. And generally, you'd know this, that Xiaomi actually uses very top quality panels. So what you get is a proper 12-bit panel with support for Dolby Vision as well. In fact, you get Dolby Vision support on Netflix, plus you can watch HDR videos on YouTube. And the HDR tuning is actually proper flagship grade, and that matters a lot because that is what gives you the impression of using a premium phone. And considering that the local peak brightness of the panel in a 1% window, I'm guessing, is about 3200 nits when you're watching HDR content, it also gets very bright indoors. Plus, within the settings, you get the original Pro Color mode, which actually ensures that your colors look close to accurate, if not entirely accurate. Now, while the experience of using the display indoors was great for us, outdoors, it doesn't feel as flagship grade, if you ask me. And that's because the brightness of the panel reaches about 1000 nits when it's in HBM mode, which is not very bright, if you ask me. It's still pretty good when the sun is not shining too hard on the display, but if it does shine too hard, then visibility can take a hit. Anyway, the stereo speakers quality is actually pretty nice. It sounds not very loud, but very rich and very clean with the Dolby Atmos support that you get for it. And considering that the phone has a very small chassis, it is very surprising that it can sound this loud also. In fact, why don't you take a listen to it right next to the OnePlus 13R and let me know what you guys think. Plus, if you're an audiophile, you will appreciate the fact that you get support for high-res Bluetooth codecs like LHDC and LDAC. You also do get the latest ultrasonic fingerprint scanner, which is very fast to unlock, which is awesome. Plus, the haptics are tuned really well. Especially within the system UI, we felt like, Xiaomi has implemented haptics very nicely. The problem with most compact Android flagships is the performance, but I can safely say that Xiaomi 15 is one of the better performing flagship phones, compact flagship phones out there. The competition, if you look at it, is the Galaxy S25 and the Pixel 9 Pro. It definitely performs better than the Pixel 9 Pro and even the Galaxy S25. So when you take a look at the benchmarks, it goes without saying that you get the best benchmark score on Xiaomi 15 compared to the other two phones. More importantly, Xiaomi also doesn't throttle the phone too much, so the CPU stability was also better. Now, the GPU performance when we ran the 3D Mark wildlife stress test was fantastic too, because we got the best loop score, which was one of the highest that we've got, and the average FPS was also fantastic. But the only thing that you need to note here is that the temps can reach up to 48 degrees. Now, the temps don't get as hot when you're playing in real life. They do get hot. For example, when we were playing Genshin Impact at the highest graphics and 60 frames per second, we got nearly 60 FPS, average FPS, which is very, very good. But the temps can also go up to 45 degrees. See, it's not like it gets very hot and unbearable to use, but it just gets warmer than usual. Sometimes when you're doing daily tasks, like for example, using the camera or, the Instagram feed, if you're scrolling through it for more than 30-40 minutes at a stretch, then that happens. Having said that, I'm still very glad that the Xiaomi 15 takes risks with this compact flagship phone's performance tuning, because it's actually performing like a much larger flagship, which is something that I appreciate. Now, the network performance with the Xiaomi 15 has been fantastic in our time, but what's even more fantastic, especially for the size of the phone and the battery inside it, is the battery life that we got with it. So it has a 5240 mAh battery inside, and we're consistently getting anywhere between 6 to 6.5 hours of screen on time, despite the performance not throttling as much. This is actually very good battery tuning as well. Plus, Xiaomi leaves no stone unturned when it comes to charging, because you get 90-watt wired charging speeds. You can also buy a separate 50-watt wireless charging adapter to charge it at 50 watts. And you also get reverse wireless charging support as well at 10 watts. Good stuff, Xiaomi. Alright, now time to talk about the cameras, and this is where the Xiaomi 15 actually sets itself apart from something like the OnePlus 13T or the upcoming OnePlus 13S. Essentially, it has a proper triple camera setup, and the specs of which we've already discussed multiple times before, but you do get a primary ultra-wide and a telephoto, and even the selfie camera has a very good sensor. Now, previously I did share my thoughts on the Xiaomi 15's cameras, but that hasn't changed much over the course of the 2 months that we've been using it. Let me just run down through what I think about it. So the main 1x1.31-inch Light Hunter 900 sensor captures a good amount of details both in daylight and in low light, and the 2.6x telephoto is also a very good addition. The shots we took from it are pretty detailed both in daylight and in low light. Now, the color science reproduction is not Xiaomi's forte. No matter if you use Leica Vibrant or Leica Authentic, both are not close to neutral. Although I must say this, I've started growing to like the Leica Authentic look the more I use it, and that is why I understand how Xiaomi gets a lot of fans for the kind of, processing that it does with the images. That vignetted look, especially when you're shooting in the street, sort of creates a very nice look. One area where I definitely want Xiaomi to improve the algorithm is with the skin tones, because they are definitely not close to neutral. And Xiaomi's HDR tuning is also very unique to Xiaomi, which is something that I've mentioned before. It has a good control over the highlights, but Xiaomi believes in keeping the shadows dark. So it doesn't pull out a lot of details from the shadows, but it's like this very contrast heavy look that used to be very, Pixel-like back in the day. Now Pixel doesn't do that heavy of a contrast. Xiaomi's taken up that mantle. Now, while this HDR tuning works for landscape shots, which is where the Xiaomi 15 excels at, when you're shooting people, sometimes the faces can go dark, and that is a bit of a concern for us. Now, you can also take portrait shots at 4 different focal lengths: 23, 35, 50 and 75 millimeters. The semantic segmentation is also very good. The bokeh drop-off looks pretty good as well. Xiaomi seems to have improved the portrait mode a lot. There are also 2 different styles of portraits that you get with the Xiaomi 15. You get master portraits and Leica portraits. I generally prefer the master portraits because the kind of images that we got from it was slightly brighter and a little more, well-tuned. The ultra-wide angle camera on the Xiaomi 15 is also pretty decent, and you get a good amount of details, again, both in low light and in daylight. However, the ultra-wide's HDR performance is not as good as the primary's HDR performance. With the selfie camera, what we notice is that in daylight it takes good selfies, but in low light it can sometimes, falter. Video recording is one area where Xiaomi has definitely made huge improvements, because firstly you can record 4K 60 FPS with all the lenses, and the video quality actually speaks for itself. In fact, with the primary camera you can actually shoot Dolby Vision videos at 4K 60 FPS. I think video recording quality is pretty good on the Xiaomi 15, especially for a compact flagship phone. Overall, after using the Xiaomi 15 cameras, I understand why a certain segment of the audience actually prefers the Xiaomi style of photographs and Xiaomi style of videography as well. And that's mostly to do with the fact that they've actually partnered with a very, very strong camera brand like Leica. Although I must say this, if Xiaomi can bring some improvements to the skin tones, that would be something that would make it like a fantastic camera. Now, talking about the software, you actually get HyperOS 2.0 based on Android 15, and Xiaomi is promising 4 years of software updates and 6 years of security updates. And the good thing is, considering this is Xiaomi's flagship phone, it's actually a clean install. There are no bloatware apps pre-installed, which is nice. And you know what? The OG of smooth animation tuning has to be HyperOS. It's a very smooth animation tuning that you get with Xiaomi 15. Plus, it's also very feature-rich software. My only concern with HyperOS right now would be that the design is slightly dated and it doesn't feel, as modern as other 2025 operating systems do. And like I said, you can customize the heck out of the phone. And as you can tell, Tanish, the anime nerd, look at the lock screen and the home screen that he has. It looks kind of cool. Now, of course, it's 2025 and any conversation about the software running on the phone wouldn't be complete without AI, and Xiaomi has some tricks up here as well. For example, you get features like AI writing, which basically helps you with writing. You also get AI speech recognition and AI interpreter. Then you have a bunch of AI features inside your gallery app, which helps you spruce up your images. For example, you get AI enhance, you get AI image expansion. You also get AI eraser, which works really well, by the way. You also get AI sky editor, which was, by the way, first introduced by Xiaomi, and it also exists in Redmi phones. Plus, AI reflection eraser, which is there in OnePlus phones, that's available here as well. These are all Xiaomi's AI features, but you also do get Google's Gemini, support on this. So basically you get Gemini Advanced as well. Plus, I think if you buy the phone, you get like a 3-month subscription plan free with it. And apart from that, there is also support for circle to search. See, currently the Xiaomi 15 is possibly the most well-rounded compact flagship in the market right now. And it doesn't have the compromise of bad battery life either, because most compact phones do. This one actually has good battery life. Plus, it doesn't skimp out on any of the pro features either, despite not being called a pro, because you get a proper triple camera setup with a telephoto camera. You also do get IP rating, you get wireless charging. So yeah, good job, Xiaomi. My only gripe with the phone is that when Xiaomi was tuning for performance, it could have maybe controlled the heat a little bit. But yeah, you get the performance headroom for if you want to do gaming on the phone. So yeah, even after 2 months, the Xiaomi 15 continues to be impressive. So you guys tell me, should you wait for the OnePlus 13s? And if yes, why? I'll leave you guys with that thought, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.